Hey everyone, it's Marabelle Blue with a new Coaching Life Realities episode. And I'm going to read off my card, so pardon me if I'm looking down a little bit. It's early in the morning here for me. It's the afternoon for Andrew. We're going to have a very deep discussion, something that I've never dived into before, so I'm very, very excited about this topic. Before we get into it, I just want to say, in this channel, I talk about relationship issues, things of that nature that are relating to relationships and difficulties in relationships. But when we're talking about mental health awareness, I will invite Andrew because he is a licensed professional. And for me, that's very, very important because I've noticed a lot of people just come out of the side of their face talking about professional stuff without being a professional, without having the education. And without the education, how are we going to learn from one another? And this is the reason why we have Andrew on this show. And with all that being said, if you are new here, welcome to this channel. I already told you what we talk about, so I'm not going to go through all that. And if you're not new, welcome. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and share with your friends. Now, I just want to make an introduction for Andrew. If you have not seen him before, he is on TikTok. He's on various social medias, but something happened recently that we must congratulate Andrew on. He started Caliper Wellness about last year, right?
Yes, August when we started. It was strictly tele side practice. Yeah.
Now he broke the ribbon recently. He has an actual office, and I will be putting all of that information below. But you see, this is what happens when someone is dedicated to their craft, to their profession, and they go after their goals and dreams. So I just love it. Congratulations
Thank
to
you.
you
Thank
and your family. Very well deserved. This is just the beginning for so many things to come.
Oh, I appreciate it so much.
So today we are going to be talking about something that I've never dived into before. This is a first for me. And I had seen something on TikTok actually floored and disgusted me. I don't really understand what's going on in Florida. And that's not to just single out Florida. Andrew lives in Florida. He takes his profession very seriously and probably one of the people who will make a difference in that state with the things that you are doing. My thing is run away, like get out of there,
Yeah.
and you realize not everybody can do that. You can't just tell them run away from your home and go somewhere else where people are going to care about your needs and your mental health and your physical health. You need to have both. You can't have one or the other. When I sent him a link about this thing that I had seen about a healthcare bill with doctors giving them the medical freedom, which is what I had read on DeSantis's website. That's what they're calling it, medical freedom, for a doctor to deny healthcare just by looking at somebody.
Yeah.
And we know that this is targeting the LGBTQ community. I'm not exactly sure. Like, again, I don't live in that state. This is why we have you here. When you had mentioned that you wanted to talk about it on here, I was like, let's do it. We didn't waste any time. We literally had this conversation yesterday and I'm like, let's do it. I looked up some information about this and basically it says Florida healthcare bill giving doctors rights to refuse treatment. What happened to the oath that the doctors take? That was the first thing that went through my mind.
A few years ago, I remember when I was an EMT, I remember something like this being suggested, and I remember the people I worked with were kind of gung-ho about it. Being in Florida, it's conservative, it's very religious. And I just remember saying to one of them, "You put this uniform on, right? We have a patch. We treat everyone, right?" And for me, I take it personally. I do, and maybe I shouldn't, but I do. I got into this not for the money, but for the ability and the privilege to serve my community and to help people. With that said, I don't care what you are, who you are, what you can walk into our physical practice at Caliper Wellness wearing a MAGA hat. If you need help, I'm going to help you. I am not there to judge you. My personal feelings get put aside when I put my lab coat on. I don't wear a lab coat, but for example, I actually wear a cardigan sweater like Mr. Rogers. When I put that on, my personal beliefs do go out the window. They get pushed aside because you're coming in needing help. And that's the whole point of what this whole industry and these professions are. We are here to serve. We are here to help. We are not here to discriminate. I'm a licensed and ordained minister in Florida with the Universal Life Church. I perform wedding ceremonies. Why? Because people who are getting married in a non-traditional way, whether it's male-female couples or male-male couples, female-female couples, they want to have that ability, and we should. It says our country's founded, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. You're not hurting anyone, so who cares what you're doing? And if some of the parts of the bill, I understand. You don't want to do gender-affirming surgery on children. I get it.
Right.
It should be, but that's anything. Like, if you're a plastic surgeon, you're not doing a nose job on a minor without their parent consent.
Right.
Right?
This
is the same thing.
The same way with a tattoo shop. You're not going to bring your 5-year-old child saying, I want a little heart on them. That's illegal.
Right. That's illegal. But it's like, you do have to let parents, okay? They just do. And I also, being in the, in this end of the industry, I don't know of anyone who's doing those procedures on children, okay? So it's almost like in Florida a few months ago, they were talking about, we all want gas stoves. The Democrats and liberals don't want gas stoves. It's Florida. There's only like 5% of new homes being built that are going to have gas stoves. No one's had gas stoves until now in the States. It's a non-issue. But then when you go one step further and you say, well, this is now going to carry over to adults too. A patient, he lives in New York. She sees me for gender reassignment hormone procedures, right? I'm just prescribing medications. She said to me the other day, I want to come home and visit my family because her parents live here. Am I safe? Should I be worried? And I'm just like, you have to always be cognizant and be mindful of your surroundings. No different than like what I tell my daughter. My daughter's lesbian. She's in a relationship with someone for a little over a year now. I tell them all the time when they go out, no matter where they're going, be mindful of your surroundings. See who's around you and pay attention, and always have your phone. Never be without your phone, okay? At the very least, you could call 911, right? But this bill, this now goes one step further. This is now saying if you come in, if you're a trans, or let's just say you look gay. There are times in my life people said, I come off as homosexual. I don't care. I'm secure in my manhood. I don't care. My favorite color is pink. Today we're going out to a Melissa Etheridge concert for Mother's Day. I'm taking my wife, and we're going with two lesbian couples. I'm all decked out in my black and pink because this is how I dress, right? If someone who I don't know at sees me at a concert and like, oh, you're at a Melissa Etheridge concert, what the F? I don't care. Hell, I'm wearing I can curse on this?
Yes.
Motherfucking custom.
Oh my God, I love those.
With the rainbow label, right? Like, I take representation seriously for everybody, okay? And I fully support my daughter and her life being something to me. A few years ago, we went to the St. Pete Pride family picnic, and I wore a T-shirt that said, free dad hugs with the rainbow flag, behind it. I cannot tell you how many young people came up to me and said, could I have a dad hug? And then, I hugged them. We sat and talked to them for a few minutes like a dad would, and they would start crying. And they're like, well, I wish I was able to do this at home. And I'm like, you always can, because you could always just find me and talk to me. And here's my Instagram. Some of those kids, I'll talk to once in a while, just check in and see how they're doing. But this is now going a step further. If you happen to think that someone is a member of the LGBT community, they come into the emergency room with a broken arm, or they were in a car accident, you're going to refuse treatment?
Right.
And if you're doing hormonal care, or if you're doing cosmetic surgery and gender reaffirming surgeries, or reassignment surgeries rather, and now they made it where nurse practitioners like me can't do the hormone procedure aspect of it. Only the doctors can. 80% of all patients are going to lose their care, whether the doctor wants to discriminate them or not. The state just put an obstacle. So now you have fewer doctors who actually can provide this care and want to. They're going to be inundated. They're going to be inundated with people. You're going to have people waiting. They're going to have people who have on these medications for years now. They're going to be losing their access. In the state of Florida, I now cannot. They've limited what I can do in treating people. I cannot. If you want to transition from male to female, I cannot prescribe you estrogen and spironolactone anymore as a nurse practitioner. Only a doctor can.
Wow.
This is a state that runs on freedom, right? That's the whole thing. This is a free state. Free this, free that. No, it's not. It's not. It's only free if you are middle class or wealthy, white, and you go to church. That's it. Anyone else? And it's just, this is the start. Next, it'll be skin color. At some point, this has to stop. And it has to stop now. We are in the year 2023. We're reverting. We're reverting back to dark time. And these aren't people that you can say, well, you look differently on people because they're in a different country and that's not our problem. They're a terrible country. These are Americans. We are infringing the right of Americans. The same thing that these people who wave American flags claim they care about. This isn't some other country that we're not, it's that you're removed from, that you see stuff on TV and it's not, it doesn't really affect you. No, this, at some point it will. At some point they're going to knock on your door. What are you going to do? Because you kowtowed all the way up to this point. You're going to wait until they come after you before you say something? No. Have you ever seen the movie V for Vendetta?
No.
If anyone who of your audience knows that movie, that's where we're at right now. We're on the cusp of that movie happening, where everyone is uptight. Everyone who's different is someone to be feared, and that's not how I grew up. I was not raised to dislike people because they're different. I was raised to talk to people because they are different and see what you can learn from them because they're different. And man, it's made such a difference in my life. The people who I am close with now, I never would have been close with in my life had I not learned those lessons. And I just don't get how we can allow this. We are supposed to, in this industry, in these professions, we are to do no harm, and we are supposed to help. We are supposed to run towards those in need, not turn our backs. And that's what this law is allowing. It's allowing people who disagree with how other people live, and it's allowing them to turn their back. And they should be ashamed of themselves. There's no pride. There's nothing to be proud of in this.
Right. This is
something to be ashamed of.
It's horrible because I think to myself, this all is religious propaganda.
Yeah.
Where is the respect for other
We are
faiths?
not a nation of respect. We are a nation of angry white people who are afraid of losing their place in the pecking order. That's all there is to it. That's what we've become. We are not a country to be proud of, or we are not a modern society to be proud of. We're not.
And when I say that other countries are laughing at us, people refute that. And I'm like, just go on TikTok and look at what other countries are saying about the United States. There are countries that are not even very welcoming of American people.
No.
Like if I wanted to visit another country, I probably wouldn't even tell them that I was American because I don't want to wind up somewhere where I won't be able to ever come out.
Yes.
Granted that not all other countries are like that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Because
totally.
they do welcome Americans, and they do welcome the tourist factor. Because how does any other country not survive without the tourist factor of having other people visit?
This state of Florida will not last very long. It'll instantly become a poverty-stricken state without tourism. And when you have Disney looking at purchasing land in other states, when you have other states presenting tourism deals to Disney, and I know Disney with their leases on their property, they're never going to leave Florida, but they could scale back. They don't have to expand. If they open up a Magic Kingdom in outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, that's going to be great for North Carolina. That's going to be terrible for Florida. And that's essentially, that's what you're going to be doing. When you have someone like me who provides a service, and now I just opened up a physical location, when you have me looking at a map of the United States of where I can practice independently and more openly and freely via telemedicine, is it worth having my Florida license? Is it worth having my Florida business? Is it worth paying the taxes as a business that I pay in Florida? No. I have a New York LLC. We have a New York office that I fly up to and see patients in twice a year. Because there's some stuff I have to see patients, at least once a year for. I could easily just keep doing that. I could do that with the other 7 states I'm licensed in easily, and never treat people in Florida and just work from right here in this space. But why? That makes me no better, because that would mean I'm turning my back on the people in my community, regardless if they're deplorable people or not. Like I'm not, but when I treat them, that's not for me to judge. I'm just there to treat. I would just see that as I would be no better.
I was thinking when you just said deplorable people, I was saying to myself, gee, I hope people understand what he means by that. Because, people just take one word and they run with it and they start making things that you're saying that you're not really saying.
Yes.
And I think that, we should really clarify that, because you are a professional. You are here to help people. And the things that you're saying, I tell people in different social medias when I'm responding, stay woke. You have to stay woke. This is
Yeah.
not any place, any state where woke goes to die.
No.
Woke has so many different
And they don't even know what the word means. No, it's
meanings.
like when you say you're anti-woke, you mean you're pro-social injustice? You're pro-systematic racism? But if you ask them, they'll
Right.
say, yeah, they will probably say yes.
I don't know. I think personally for me, I don't know how people are comfortable with that type of hate. I
Yeah.
mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but for me, there's something psychologically wrong with you that you're okay
Yes.
with hating people and thinking that you're superior in some form or
Some way.
another. And
For something
this
as
doesn't
silly
only
as
go
being
for white people, this also goes for people in other races where
yeah.
they feel like they shouldn't be this skin color. They should be something else. Who the member of the Proud Boys, he's Cuban. It's like,
Yeah.
what's wrong with you?
I do always get a kick out of when I see Latinos for Trump signs. But as someone who's half Italian American, I'm always shocked when I hear the amount of racism that comes out of other Italians' mouths. Like, we were discriminated against when we came here. My great
Yes.
grandfather had a job as a longshoreman in the longshoremen's union by not speaking. He was told by two black men who he knew from our neighborhood to not talk, because if the Irish knew he was Italian, they wouldn't put him on. So the two black men told the other workers at the union, that my great grandfather was Irish, but he was mute and didn't talk, because he never would have got hired. These same people who the term
Mm.
without papers, okay, Italians were called wops, without papers, was because they were immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
And they were
Mm-hmm.
discriminated against. Now they have moved up and assimilated and went up to the upper echelon of society. They now want to look down with disgust, instead of saying, like, we remember what the hell it was like being down there. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we understand what Mexican people go through in this country, because we were exploited as well, and we don't want that. And if there's anyone in a state that I'm licensed in, who feels as though they cannot get the psychiatric care that they need, just get in touch with me. And if I'm not licensed in the state, I'm going to help you find someone in your state
Somebody that that will
that
take
will.
the time
Yeah.
out
Yes.
to help them.
Yes.
So, in the middle of doing my research, I was writing some questions because it made me think of an experience that I had. I remember when I was living in New York City, I was working. I wanted to go back to therapy. I was doing it quite often. I had this one therapist, he was really super helpful. And then I stopped. When I wanted to go back, I was in a relationship, and I'm not going to get into the details of the relationship. I went into details with the therapist because I was looking specifically to talk to a woman therapist. And when I told her the situation, she said that she needed to think about it. And a few days later, she got back to me and said, because of the relationship that I'm in, she can't sit with me and deal with this type of relationship.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, okay. I was taken aback because I never ever heard anyone come off that way. And I'm like, was she right to do that? Was she
Oh,
wrong to do
definitely.
that?
Listen. If she's gonna feel uncomfortable, that means you're gonna suffer too. Then, so that's not fair to either of you.
Mm-hmm.
If she feels she cannot put her personal feelings aside, which again you have to do, and this when you're serving people, you have to put. But if she feels that she cannot, then yeah, it's better to tell you now before you started wasting your time, because you would have ended up suffering. And why should you?
Right.
You're already suffering. You already know you need help.
Mm-hmm.
You need a therapist to help you deal with your therapist.
Exactly.
I said, I had a patient's mom. A patient was 15, 16, and he was homosexual. I mean, he still is homosexual, but they're not my patient anymore. And the mom said to me, "Can't you fix that?" And I'm like, "There's no fixing. There's no fixing that. There's no fixing it. And she's like, you don't practice using Christian values? It's like, I'm not Christian. So why would I employ Christian values? I will treat your son for his anxiety and his depression and his gender dysmorphia that he's suffering from. But part of the reason he's suffering from anxiety, depression, and gender dysmorphia is because of his mother.
Right.
They didn't stay my patient after that. I got fired as their provider, which is fine. I don't take that.
But that's the problem. These Christian they're not real values.
Yeah.
And if you're Christian watching this, I really don't care, because I was raised Catholic. There was something that happened. It was a series of things that happened, not just one thing. It was a series of things that happened that just made me think, like, why? Nobody can answer any real valid questions that I have. So why am I part of this? When I tell you that I was part of it, I was like in it. I was the first person up on Sunday in the morning, running to church, taking care of everything. I was very, very involved. Even
listen, as a kid, my mom sent us to church because she didn't want to be bothered with us on a Sunday. She wanted to sleep. So she said, you got to go to church, because she didn't want to hear us in the house. You know, I mean, I don't blame her. She worked 3 jobs. Of course, she needed a day to have quiet herself. I don't blame her. It was like, it was a good way to get us out of the house for 2.5 hours,
But for me, this whole Christian value, it's what's getting in the way of humanity. Just basic human empathy.
Yes.
Why are you doing
Which is a Christian value. Love for your fellow man. Acceptance of your fellow man. Those are Christian values. Judge not, yet ye be judged. It's in your book. Highlight it. Read it. Understand it. It's in your book. It's Christian value.
But it's not real, because it's causing chaos for other people.
So it's not Christian values. It's white American values. But in most Americans' minds, Jesus would have voted for Trump. Someone who mocked a handicapped person, someone who brags about sexually dominating others because he's rich, someone who's arrogant. That's American Jesus. American Jesus has an AK-47. And his shroud was an American flag. Like, I'm sure people in the Roman Empire said, God bless the Roman Empire. Okay? British people, God save the Queen, right? Like, God's not really sitting. Well, let's just say, my personal beliefs aside, let's just say there's a God. God's not up there saying, "Oh yeah, we got to watch that Queen. We got to protect her." Yes, of course. How could I not? I'm God. They're asking me. Hell, Ozzy Osbourne said at a concert, "God save the Queen." Okay, she was going to fall off a cliff, but these people asked me nicely to please God save the Queen. I'll save the Queen. It doesn't work that way. I'm sure the Romans said the same thing. God shed his grace on the Roman Empire. I'm sure they've said. Obviously, they were wrong. So why would God bless America? If he was, he'd be like, you guys don't deserve it.
And we would be probably living very differently in this day and age. Yeah. I don't think that many people know their history. They don't know anything about, and I'm talking about like history going back when the world was developing. We probably weren't speaking the way we're talking now.
How many people still think the world's flat? These are the same people.
Say that again?
I said, how many people still think that the world is flat? These are the same people, though. It's not like, if you look at the people who think the world's flat, these are the same people that think God is blessing America. These are the same people who want America to be run by Christian values, and who still use those same Christian values to discriminate against others, that now can say doctors, firefighters, paramedics, you can refuse right. You have that right now. You have the freedom to say you're not serving the people you sworn to serve and protect.
And then it just goes back to, again, the oath. Where is that oath? What is it called?
The Hippocratic Oath.
What happens to that? Does that become insignificant?
I didn't take the Hippocratic Oath. That is only for physicians. But I feel it. I live it. I take my responsibility that comes with the 5 letters after my name tremendously serious. And it's tremendously personal. It's my mission. It's not just I took a class for 2 years and I took a test and passed it. Those 5 letters are my mission. Psychiatric, mental health, nurse practitioner. It's my mission. How dare someone tell me that I shouldn't be treating people because they're different than me? How dare someone belittle that accomplishment of what those letters mean to me?
How does a governor who doesn't understand the
He
medical
understands.
industry,
No,
the
no,
psychiatric,
he understands. He's not stupid. He's not. He's very smart. Okay. He's very intelligent. He's prying on people's fears and weaknesses to gain more power. And it's going to spread around the country, and he's going to run for president. And he has a damn good shot of getting in, because there's a hell of a lot more people
but
that
it's
agree with
it's
him.
frightening to know
Yeah.
that people are putting themselves in a position of power. This is
Yeah.
not what this country
No, it's not.
was developed on. It's not developed for one person to run everyone, because now
Right.
you're talking about communism.
Now you're talking about a dictatorship. You're talking about fascism. Yes.
How do we get away from that?
We
What
need
what
more
are the
people.
steps that we need to
We
take?
need more people to be vocal. We need, and listen, at times I'm a grouchy old man, right? I'm going to be 50. At times I am grouchy. Okay. I shouldn't say at times. 99% of the time I'm grouchy. I'm tired. I'm grouchy. And and I sometimes look at young people like Gen Z, and I'm just like, what the hell is yeet? What is cap? Right? What do these things mean? What's bet? What do these things mean? But I have to say, seeing the way these young people have stepped up in the last few months. I saw it when the TikTokers they took over Trump's rally, where they started requesting tickets only for them to not show, and they thought that the place sold out 300%. Like they thought they had like 3,000 more people coming, so they set up outside stages only because there's a bunch of TikTok kids saying, "Let's all request these tickets," and no one would show up, okay, and embarrass them. I think that they're doing great work. The sit-ins that we've seen in in Tennessee, with the Tennessee Three being ousted for speaking up, and the people who showed up, most of them young people, the gun violence, the anti-gun violence demonstrations in state capitals,
Yes.
including in Florida, the anti-abortion bills protests going on around the country. It's young people. And that's what it's going to take. They're doing it right. They're out on the street. They're being peaceful. They're still going to get dragged through the mud in the media, because the media is part of it. But we need more of them. We need them to step up. We need them to go finish school, finish college, become lawyers, get involved, become politicians, so that this way their voice gets louder. If they don't move up and they stay on the street, that's fine. But it's not going to change. It only changes stuff to a point.
Okay. Right. Because you have to understand, I guess, the laws, how they work, how bills are generated, what could be presented to Congress, Senate.
You have to be to quote Hamilton, you have to be in the room where it happens. You could be outside shouting all you want, shouting loud. I get it. But if you're not whispering or shouting, I should say, in the room where it happens, the voice gets lost. It just does.
You're right. It does. It's like somebody screaming at a television.
Yeah. What are you doing? Like,
it's going nowhere. You're screaming for what?
And listen,
where is it going?
I always put things in pop culture terms, right? Spider-Man does awesome work as the man on the street, right? Superman fights battles in outer space. You know what I mean? Who does more? You got to go where the battles are, and those battles are going to be won and lost in Senate hearing rooms and state assembly rooms, state capitals around the country, and in Washington D.C. They just will.
So I think that you pretty much answered, but one of the questions I put, who is Ron DeSantis and other religious organizations feel as though they are authorized to decide medical care treatment? Do you agree the governor's lack of critical thinking will make more damage than good? Because for me, you could be smart, but it doesn't mean you have critical thinking skills.
Oh no. And again, I think he does. I think he's playing a con. He's playing a long con. He's playing a game. He's playing chess. He's playing three-dimensional chess. He's doing stuff here on the street level, on the state level, that he knows is going to play to middle America, and it's going to get him to Washington. It has nothing to do with knowing medical. It has nothing to do with that. He was a teacher. He doesn't know anything about education. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with that. He's playing a long con.
But that's very scary. In the whole spectrum, it's very scary. Like anybody who's going to be listening to this, I'm sitting here like thinking about it. I've been entertaining leaving the US.
Oh,
and
we've looked
looking
into it.
at another country.
I would have to say on an East Coast time schedule, I could still practice in the 8 states or whatever, how many states I'm licensed in via telemedicine, and we can live in Switzerland, we can live in Norway, we can live in Italy. They have packages for people to be relocated where they will pay. They will give you money to help get you set up so that you can live in another country. But I don't know if other countries are any worse. I mean, Italy is extremely conservative. The lady who just won her re-election for I believe it's prime minister, she's ultra conservative. She was walking around saying we need to reinstall Italian men into power in this country. She's against tourism. She's against minorities coming in and working. She was a female. She was an Italian Trump, and she got in. So are other countries, are they as good? I don't know.
It's the matter of doing research.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Where you feel you're going to be best served and best protected.
Exactly.
Personally, I would have no problem moving to Finland. My wife would hate it because she can't take the cold, but I would be fine. Work from home. We could both work from home. It's not a big deal.
I think the same way for myself too, but it really is a matter of getting grounded here before going somewhere else. And who knows, what animals I'm going to have left, because that's also another thing to consider.
We when we look into this one, I want to say it was Switzerland. Our dog had to be quarantined in a shelter for 6 months. I just can't. I mean, I hate being away from her for 6 hours. She comes to the office during the day because when I come home for lunch, I walk her and I take her to the office with me because I'm just like, I miss my dog. I can't imagine months. She when we bring her to the groomer and leave her there, she feels abandoned. She acts like she's being abandoned. She's never abandoned. She's never left anywhere. She's barely home by herself because someone's always home. Leaving her for 6 months somewhere, I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, I would not be able to do that. And that's also another thing to take under consideration.
Yes.
I have to say that I'm not the only one who has thought this way. I talk to friends on the phone and they're thinking about it too. But again, it really does go back to, are you improving your life by doing that, or staying and fighting the good fight? And not running away and thinking, well, let somebody else deal with it. Because I feel a lot of the times that's what people do.
That's what, that would mean, giving up altogether. I agree. And that's wrong. That's wrong too.
You being in the profession that you're in, when you're getting letters stating how you need to run your practice, personally for you, how does that make you feel? And then what changes you think should be implemented? Realistic changes that need to happen so that you're not being told how to run your business. Are we doing that to corporations?
Well, I do get told how to run my business according, by the Florida or the state board of nursing in each state. I do have scope that I have to operate within. But when laws start coming out, tell me what I can and can't do. In Florida, I can't work autonomously. I pay a physician to oversee what I do, and I'm very fortunate that the physician that oversees me, he knows I'm not doing anything wrong. He gives me total freedom to operate the way I feel I want to operate obviously within the letter of the law. But there are things that I do where it's like root cause treatments of certain issues and mental health illnesses like obesity. I don't treat obesity. When you come to me with obesity and depression due to obesity, I don't treat you at an SSRI, because SSRI is going to make you gain weight. I go to the root cause and we attack your obesity, and we work on weight loss, and we work on nutrition, and I give you nutritional therapy and I help you with meal plans. We have a nutritionist that works with us that sits and talks to you, goes over food. We do genetic testing to try and see what diet you should be on, what foods you need to avoid. And I'm fortunate that the physician who oversees me lets me operate this way. I don't think a law should be in place telling me what I can and can't do. More so when it tells me I have to turn people away. I don't do procedures in my office. I have testosterone patients that ask me to do testosterone pellet implants. I don't do them. It's not something. It's just because I don't feel comfortable doing it. I can do it. I'm trained to do it. And also, there's an insurance thing, right? The insurance to cover our practice and physical location, and my malpractice insurance would have gone up about 5 or 6 times. It would have gone up from the 1,000 or whatever I paid to 5,000 or 6,000. I don't want to pay that for that little bit. So I just don't do it. But I don't judge people when they come in like, oh, you want testosterone pellets? Get the hell out of here, you freak. No. Why would I do that? It's just something I just don't feel comfortable slicing some butt cheek on someone, peeling a layer of skin back, putting pellets in there, putting it in, and gluing it shut. I just don't do that. I don't like doing it. I can.
Right. But it's not going to solve the problem for the long term.
No, no.
And I think that's the part that people don't
Don't
understand.
understand.
Well, I think that this is not just going to resolve itself overnight,
No, no.
obviously.
This is a long haul battle. It is.
And I think once we win, it really is a matter of staying consistent.
Yes. Like I take this is a perfect example. Obama ran and people came out in droves to go vote for him. Hillary Clinton ran, people didn't come out. We needed that, and we needed people more to come out for her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Obama would have losing to McCain if he would have lost, which never I don't ever think would have happened. Wouldn't have been so bad. McCain was a good man, but the people came out in the in
Right.
droves. We needed people to come out in those same droves and that same drive and that same determination for her, because it set us on another path, unfortunately.
Yeah. It made us backwards.
Yeah, we definitely we took it with the progress that we made with Obama becoming president. He was a good man.
Mm-hmm.
He did things I didn't agree, a lot of things I didn't agree with, but I still voted for him twice. He wasn't perfect, but he had the qualities that you wanted.
Closing up, is there anything additional you want to add? Anything that we should be made aware of?
Be mindful of your surroundings when you're out. Always be mindful of your providers. Don't be afraid to look up your providers on Facebook, okay, and see what they post about. Don't be afraid to. Okay, it's not stalkerish. Don't send them the friend request, but look and see what they post. Okay, get a feel for who they are as a human being, because that will tell you who they are as a provider. And you don't want to enter into a provider-patient relationship with someone whose interests or thoughts are not going to align. Because I don't mean they have to agree with you on everything, but they should have qualities that you find to be admirable. And that to me, that's important.
Agree. Well, Andrew, once again, you knocked it out of the park.
Thank you.
I can't wait to have you back, because I know there was another topic that we wanted to talk about. Oh, I remember now what it is. I don't want to say what it is out loud because I don't want to give it away. But you touched on it a little bit here on this episode. So we definitely have to coordinate another day for that.
Yeah.
And of course, I will be leaving all of that information for Andrew and Caliper Wellness. Again, thank you, Andrew.
No, thank you for having me.
Episode. And we'll be back with more coaching life realities. As always, remember, be good to yourself, be good to each other, and most importantly, take care of you. Bye, everybody.